Hi, I'm Drake, and I'm going to analyze my experience reviewing food in a small group. In this group were my three friends, Jake, Caitlin, and Melissa. We all really like Mexican food, which led us to our first food comparison of Del Taco versus Taco Bell. To compare these places, we would get items very similar to each other from each place. For example, we got burritos and quesadillas from Del Taco and Taco Bell. Once we got these items home, we'd eat them and then we would compare the price and the quality of this food. While we did this, I observed the use of turn allocation in my group. As you may know, turn allocation is when a speaker chooses who talks next, someone selects themselves to talk next, or the speaker that is currently speaking will just continue to talk themselves. With that said, I think our group ended up using self-selection the most as we knew each other right from the start. This allowed us to know each other's tendencies before even starting this group, which was very helpful in helping us navigate when we were able to jump back into conversations. Which is why the second most used example of turn allocation would probably be speaker choice. This is because we also asked each other a lot of questions after we finished talking. This left us with speaker continuation being used the least. Now, let's get into an example of speaker's choice during my group discussion. An example of this is when I talked about how the price of the burritos at Del Taco were cheaper than Taco Bell's, but were still quality burritos. Once I finished saying this, I then asked Caitlin what her opinion was on this matter. Thus, I implemented speaker's choice. Now, an example of self-selection during this discussion was when Melissa gave her opinion on the price and quality of the burritos right after Caitlin finished talking. As you can see, Melissa selected herself by being the first one to speak up, which is self-selection. Moving on to an example of speaker continuation, Jake gave his thoughts on the burritos, but after he finished, nobody else spoke up, and he did not choose anybody else to talk, which forced him to change the subject to quesadillas, which implemented speaker continuation. Now that you know what happened during my first group meeting, let's move on to the second one, which is Burger King versus McDonald's. During this group discussion, we once again compared the price and quality of the food, but this time the food was chicken sandwiches, chicken nuggets, and fries from the two competitors. When we were discussing this, I noticed our group was using concrete words. As you know, concrete words are words that are very descriptive, making them very hard to misinterpret. Not only that, but they usually involve our five senses of sight, taste, touch, smell, and sound. Jake used sight and touch to describe how Burger King's fries were crisp and fluffy. This is a great example of sight and touch, as you not only could see how crisp and fluffy these fries were, you could feel the crisp outside edge of the fry and the fluffy inside. After this, our group used smell and taste, as we all agreed that the fries were heavily salted, as we could just smell and taste the salt coming off these bad boys. With that said, smell and taste were probably our most commonly used application of concrete words, with sight and touch coming in second. Now, you're probably wondering, how is sound used when reviewing food? Well, I'll tell you. When Caitlin said Burger King's lettuce was much crunchier than McDonald's, we were all able to know this, as when we chewed the lettuce ourselves, we could hear how much crunchier Burger King's lettuce was. And this is how we use concrete words while using sound. Now, in conclusion, I had a great time being in this group, as it was with three close friends, which allowed us to communicate effectively from the start while we got to sit around and eat food. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed my analysis of how my group communicated while reviewing food.